Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day, and today guys we're going to be going over one of my favorite builds inside of Remnant 2. So recently Remnant 2 dropped on the Game Pass and I thought what a better time to check out this looter shooter slash Souls-like with guns that everyone keeps ranting and raving about. Well, 150 hours later, I think I can finally see why. I'm absolutely hooked. The gameplay loop of Remnant 2 is just so satisfying. I've just been absolutely enjoying it, maybe a little bit too much. So I thought I might as well share with you guys my build that has carried me through Apocalypse Difficulty. Introducing the Void Butcher. And it is going to be a build using the Invader class and also the Hunter class. Well Ozzy, what makes this build work so well then? Well, person I don't know. This build is really easy to use and it doesn't require any DLC items. I am using one DLC item, but it can be easily replaced. We're very defensive with Void Cloak, having low cooldown on our skills, and also bursts of infinite stamina, which is going to be really good to run away and help us stay alive just that little bit longer. We do have 100% crit chance with our Chicago typewriter, and we do also have some very respectable damage. It ain't going to be like Hugs builds or Challenger Hunter builds, but this build can definitely pull its own weight. And last but not least, and arguably one of the more important points, is this build is fun to use. We have fantastic synergy with melee damage and range damage, giving that Invader can actually boost our range damage, and so can Hunter with Hunter's Cloak. And it's also not another bleed crit build. I know we see a lot of those. I'm using the same gimmick because crit damage is so strong, but I thought I'd try and put it together in a different way. I'm sure people have probably done this, but I don't really see too many Invader builds. I know why, the prime perk kind of doo-doo, but I thought I might as well put one together because I really do enjoy using Invader. Okay, so moving on over to the gear and traits, guys. Now again, this is my first Remnant 2 build video, so roast me if I get anything wrong or if I miss anything. I'm going to try my best to cover everything that needs to be covered. Yeah, if I miss anything, just let me know. Just let me know. I can handle it, okay? Now, like I said before, we are using the Invader and we are also using the Hunter classes for this build. Of course, the skills we are using is Void Cloak and also Hunter's Shroud. Hunter's Shroud can be replaced with Hunter's Mark or just about any Hunter skill for that matter. But Void Cloak, I feel like it's needed for this build. Now, what Void Cloak is going to allow us to do is when we take any direct damage while we have this up, we're going to perfect dodge. Now this is going to be fantastic for survivability because I'm sure we all know that there's way too many instances where enemies spawn behind you and you haven't realized, and they absolutely serve your ass up on a silver platter. Void Cloak is going to mitigate a lot of that, especially in Apocalypse. There's been too many instances Void Cloak has saved my ass, and because Void Cloak does proc perfect dodge, we're able to use this to get a buff that we do have on one of our rings. But the main reason that we're using Void Cloak is for that defensive option. And it is worthy to know, I know the Invader prime perk isn't great, neither is the Hunter's one, but I have used the Invader's one and I'll explain why. When we use Void Cloak, we do summon a clone. Every time Void Cloak activates when you take direct damage, you summon another clone. These clones only last for 3 seconds. Fucking sucks. I know it'd be awesome if they lasted for 4 or even 5 seconds, would be fantastic. But we can still make 3 seconds work, kind of. These 3 seconds is going to be huge to maybe get away, to use a relic to get your health back, or you can use these 3 seconds to do even more damage to the target, because now any enemy that's not focusing you or not targeting you, you're going to do 15% increased damage to them, which is massive. You definitely notice this increase straight away. Now another way we can get a clone out, and this one's much more handy especially in co-op, is with the override passive. When we use our relic, as soon as we evade or our next evade, we will spawn a clone that lasts 5.5 seconds. Now the reason why I say this is very good for co-op is because you can use a relic, run over to your teammate that's down, dodge or evade, and you'll spawn a clone there. That's going to attract all enemy damage or all enemy fire for 5.5 seconds, which is more than enough time to, you know, res one of your teammates and then continue on with the fight. Another really good use is, even in solo, is to then use a relic, evade, and then you know the enemy's gonna not be targeting you for 5.5 seconds, which gives you a nice little damage burst window. Again, not trying to prioritize getting these clones out, but it is nice to have them to then continue getting a nice burst window of damage. And also the clones are just good to give you that extra bit of breathing space to maybe get a relic on heal and do whatever you need to do. For the armor, you can wear whatever you want. I've just put this on because it is the most I can wear with 8 points into the strong back trait. So I have got the Night Stalker Shroud helmet, I've got the Knotted Cage body, I've got the Leto Mark II leggings, and I've also got the Crimson Guard gauntlets. But again, feel free to put on whatever you want. You could also go lighter, so you're not using any stamina when you are actually dodging, which I think might be pretty good, but then you're losing a whole bunch of defense, so it's completely up to you. Now next up for the relic, I am using the Quilted Heart relic. You can use the Shielded Heart, you know, Shielded Heart's like one of the strongest hearts in the game, but I do like the Quilted Heart relic because it gives us infinite stamina for 20 seconds, which is fantastic, especially in a build like this where we're running around a lot, we're evading a lot, we're using melee, we're just burning through a lot of stamina, and I don't want to have to put on the Bisected Ring because we take 15% more damage. So this is what I've kind of gone for, but again, you can put the Shielded Heart on. It's probably a little bit better defensively, but I do like the Quilted Heart's infinite stamina regen. I just feel like it flows a lot better with the setup. And then also when we evade, we're going to get 15 health back using the Quilted Heart, which is very, very nice. And for the upgrades I put in the heart, I've put Mythic range damage, Mythic range crit damage, and also Mythic skill cooldown. I feel like these work the best. You could take the range damage out and maybe put melee attack speed. That makes the Atom Splitter's charge attack faster. There's a few instances that you probably might need that, but I feel like the range damage is just better overall. Now up next, the weapons. No surprise here that we have the Chicago Typewriter, you know, probably one of the best long guns in the games because it's got 80 round mag, doesn't have heat generation when you spray with it. It's just a very, very solid weapon, and I'm pretty sure everyone's used the Chicago Typewriter at this point. I have put the corrosive round modifier on it, which is going to give us 15% increased critical strike, pushing the Chicago Typewriter way past 100%, especially with the Hunter Shroud on. We have got momentum. Momentum is such a filthy mutator, basically giving you 30% crit and 30% critical strike damage, an absolute must-have for a crit build. The melee weapon, I have gone for the Atom Splitter. I absolutely love this melee weapon. It is so much fun to use. I have gone and put Edgelord Mutator on there. It's going to increase our melee charge speed by 35%, which is good because that is the main way we are using the Atom Splitter. And because we do have it at level 10, we gain 3% of our base charge melee damage as lifesteal. This is just going to be really good to help us keep our health topped up instead of having to use the evades from Quilted Heart or just our regular lifesteal from Siphoner trait. And then for our sidearm, we are using the Tech 22. You could also use the MP60. They're pretty much identical. One MP60 has more damage. Tech 22 has, I think, just a little bit more fire rate and way better accuracy. So it is really up to you what you want to use. They both do the exact same job. I just like the Tech 22 a little bit better because it has that quicker fire rate. Also a little bit quicker of a reload, I think, as well. I just think it's overall just a little bit better, but again, the MP60 does the exact same job. And for the modifier I put on this is Overflow, just to give us more fire rate, more reload speed, makes the Tech 22 flow a little bit better in my personal opinion. And I've also put a Twisting Wounds on here just to apply bleed and also give the Tech 22 just a little bit more damage. Now for the juicy part, going over all the jewelry. Now we do have the Butcher's Fetish, which is going to give 15% increased critical strike chance and also 25% increased critical strike damage. This is huge. This is our main damage multiplier, so why we're using charge melee attack as much as possible so we can keep this buff up so our range damage shreds all the enemies. We do have the Ikari Warband. Every time you perfect dodge, you're going to increase your critical strike chance by 15% and your critical strike damage by 15% also. This works really well again with Void Cloak because you're going to get a perfect dodge from Void Cloak. Sometimes I like using just one perfect dodge of Void Cloak just so I can get that buff, and I know I have that buff. But obviously if you know the boss moves correctly, you're going to be able to perfect dodge very easily. No surprise here that we have the probability cord increasing our crit damage by 30%. Crit build, so this kind of goes hand in hand. Now the bread and butter of this build, and I think this ring just makes this build just synergize a hell of a lot better, is the Sapphire Dreamstone. So every time we get a critical hit, it reduces our skill cooldowns by 3%. I could be wrong on this, but I have 63 seconds on my Hunter Shroud. I seem to shave off like 27, 28 seconds off my Hunter Shroud, just continuously getting crits and proccing Sapphire Dreamstone. Now obviously this ring is huge because you're going to be able to get Void Cloak back, which is going to help you stay alive a lot longer. And then you're going to get Hunter Shroud back, which is going to let us do more damage and get more crit. So this ring works very, very well with this build. So I feel like this is probably one ring that you definitely need to keep in. And last but not least, we have the Offering Stone. This is, I think, the only DLC item I have in this build. So when we deal range damage, we're going to increase all our other damage by 1% up to 15. And then after we kill an enemy, it's going to extend the duration by 10 seconds. So instead of it lasting for 1 second, you're going to get it for 10 seconds. It's going to be a nice buff to have, especially if you've got all 15 of those stacks. And now for the traits, guys, I have put 8 points into ammo reserve. I have maxed out fortify. I have put 8 points into strong back. I've got 5 points into swiftness, give us more movement speed. I've maxed out vigor, obviously. I've put 8 points into endurance. Not sure if I need this here, but I have just put this here just so we can get that corrosive round back on our typewriter and the lightning round back on our Tech 22 just a little bit quicker. Maxed out expertise. We want as much skill cooldown as possible. Obviously putting 10 points into bark skin gives us that damage reduction. And then we got 5 points into handling and also putting 10 points into siphoner. This is going to be our main way that we get health back. Okay guys, so I wanted to go over a quick boss kill with you. We actually get to watch this idiot in full motion. Now I know the Custodian's Eye probably isn't one of the hardest boss. I'm sure you've probably seen people take this guy out in 10 seconds, but I feel like I got a pretty decent kill on the Custodian's Eye, so I'd like to show it to you guys so you can actually see this build working in real time. So basically all you want to try and do is use your charge melee attack to get the Butcher's Fetish damage bonus off your amulet, and you want to do this when it's safe. You don't want to just try and do a melee attack whenever that buff expires. Make sure you save, get your charge melee out, and to instantly go back to spraying the boss's weak spot with your Chicago typewriter. Accidentally fell down there. I didn't mean to fall down there, but you know, it is what it is. We lost a little bit of DPS. Boss could have died a little bit quicker, but it's okay. Gonna get another charge melee attack off. Gonna take care of the eyeballs ASAP, and then we're instantly gonna go back to spraying that Custodian's Eye weak spot. And the best thing about having a decent build in Apocalypse is that you can just outphase a lot of the bosses. So here he's only now just going into his second like blue phase. After this he's going to start doing the Gatling gun where you're supposed to hide behind the pedestals that pop up. If you don't, you get absolute cream. We don't even have to worry about that. He's just going to die before you can even get a chance to do it. Easiest game of my life. And that is basically it for this build video, guys. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully this video did help you out. I know Remnant 2 has been out for like 6 months or so now, and people have probably seen everything that there is to see, but I thought I'd try and maybe do a build with some classes that you might not see together all the time, like Invader and Hunter. I swear to God, I see no Invader Hunter builds at all. Even when you go online, no one uses Invader. I understand there's plenty other options, but it really isn't that bad in retrospect. And again, I really hope I didn't miss anything. Let me know in the comment section if I did. Appreciate all of the support as always, guys, and until next time, stay safe. Peace out.